right, welcome back to the Knives Fast channel, guys. Civivi continues to crank out the value. Two new ones here. We have the Cetos and we have the Biophase. These two could not be more different. You have what I'm calling wild and mild here. So really, really cool. Let's jump into these and have some fun. Now, here's the Biophase. And they say the Biophase is gray aluminum with black coarse G10 handle. We're going to talk about this construction because it's really interesting. Nitro V blade. And that one's running, well, we'll talk about the prices in a minute. And then the Cetos, this guy right here is, wow, Casey, is cabochon wood presentation or show side handle with a gray steel lock side handle. Silver bead blasted 14C. So we have Nitro V, we have 14C, we have wood, we have space age looking. I mean, these guys, how could they be any more different than this? So let's jump in. Let's jump right in with this Cetos. And I'm calling this mild just simply because this looks like a knife, you know, that your dad would be okay with if you were to give him this for Christmas. But this to me is a really cool basic pocket knife. Now we do have an issue here and we're going to work on this in just a moment. Now this is a pass around knife and you guys know I typically don't tweak on these and I wanted you to see this. It is definitely favoring the one side and it's even about to scrape. So I'm going to get a bit driver out here in a minute and we're going to see if that works on this. So here we go, guys. So I'm assuming it's a T8. We're going to find out together. Oh, and it is definitely loose, okay? So we're going to just tweak that down a little bit, and look at that. Came right. As a matter of fact, I think I actually went too far, so let's go back just a frog hair. And there we are. We are dead centered now. So you see how easy that is. Again, if it were my knife and I was keeping it and it wasn't a pass around, I would take that out. I would put some Loctite on it, put it where I want it, and then let it sit for a day, and that would fix all of that. Now, this is cabochon wood right here on the show side. You can see there is no, wait a minute. There is a partial liner inset into that wood just for some strength, which is great. And then on this side, we have the steel frame lock. Now, we do not have an insert here because you don't need one because it's a steel lock. Now, you have the typical Civivi loop over clip. It is not reversible and you don't have anything sticking out of the pocket. You do have a lanyard pin back here, two barrel spacers. I think I'm losing my voice. And we have a flipper tab. Now, the two methods of deployment for this one are this heavily jimped flipper tab. And you can, let's see, I'm light switching it, but let's see, can we push button it? Yeah, you can kind of push button it. Decent detent, very nice on the reverse flick. You see that on that long pull, works really well. Can we thumb flick it out of there? Not really. Can't really do it because I'm putting pressure on that lock bar. We do have contoured show side. Now, this is a really interesting thing about this knife, okay? I talk about contouring being important. Well, they contoured the show side and they left the lock side flat with heavy chamfers. So it kind of, when you look at it, gives you a really odd contoured and not contoured here, but let's just go ahead and talk about that. 4-finger grip, and it feels really nice in the hand. Now, I will tell you that clip is getting me right there. I would actually call that a hot spot, okay? And it's actually getting me back here a little bit too. But again, guys, you can relax your hand. You can avoid that hot spot by arcing your hand and relaxing your hand like that, especially with this contouring. Now, the wood is very slick. It does have, I mean, look, I'm just skating across that. It does have a little bit of grip to it, but I wish it had a little bit more. This side is a lot more tacky. Now, we do have kind of a bead blasted finish here on the steel. And guys, just look at this gorgeous spear point blade with that awesome swedge. You have jimping way out here. Now, for me, 4-finger grip, I'm landing right about there, and that is absolutely great. I mean, I am locked in with my grip right there. Oh, good grief. And, of course, I pick up the largest piece of cardboard in the pile. But you can see this guy is most definitely a very good slicer. You see that? Nice clean cuts. Really, really good indeed. And again, I've always said, if you give me a big swedge, that is going to relieve that cut, and it just makes the cut way easier, and it always will. And I've always said, I don't know why more people don't enlist the use of swedges if they're going to keep that grind low. Now, it's not super thin stock, but again, good thin behind the edge here. Very, very nice indeed. So when we are locked up at about, I'd call that 20 to 25. We are now dead center after that little tweak, but bear in mind that pivot did walk. And we do have a little bit, even though I've tightened this, there's a little bit of blade play here. If I tighten it more, it's going to go off center. So I'm just going to leave that and just note, guys, that there is some blade play. You do have decent access to the lock bar with a chamfer. I will say that lock bar is a little bit on the stiff side. And as you do this 2 or 3 times, you can see it starts to kind of dent your thumb there a little bit, but it's not a huge deal. Just wanted you to know that was a thing. So, good relief here on the lock bar as well. It just happens because it's steel, in my opinion, to be a little stiff. Now, it is on bearings, but you can see there it's more of a shakedown than a drop shut, but I am totally okay with that. Now, as far as specs on this guy. Now, by the way, I'm going to leave a link down below for this. There are a bunch of different options of this. This wood version is $63.75. And then there is a twill carbon fiber version for $99 with a black blade. There's a coarse micarta for $63.75. There's a couple other versions here right around that $63. I'll leave the link below. Now, as far as specs on this particular guy, again, it is 14C28. It is a spear point, just under 8 inches at 7.99 with a 3.48 inch blade, 0.12 on your blade stock, which is great. Bead blasted finish, 4.51 inch handle with a 0.43 thickness, so nice and thin. 3.9 ounces. There we go. And we will do our comparisons at the end with both knives. So what do you guys think of the Cetos? Can't wait to hear what you think. Now, we're going to jump right into the Biophase. Now, I left it open over there. That was brilliant. So the Biophase is a button lock. It is a traditional, more traditional style button lock. In other words, it's not a top liner lock. It is a plunge lock. You guys know my feelings of plunge locks. They're not always my favorite. Because typically you don't have, you do not have a detent, but typically you don't have the feel of a detent. But for some reason, Civivi just nails button locks. This guy, either way you're opening this, the spring makes it feel like it has a detent, okay? It breaks really nicely. You can see I can't fail it on the flip, and it feels great on the reverse. Now, you do have holes here, but more of what you're flicking out of is like a slot. It has a really interesting hollow ground blade, kind of a really wicked buoy or clip point there. And you do have kind of a finger choil if you stay back. Oh, by the way, I forgot. I knew I was forgetting one thing on the Cetos. You do have good sharpening choil here and a good path for sharpening. So same thing here. You have plenty of room there for sharpening. Your plunge is way out of the way. Now, here's this construction I was talking about. You have very thin aluminum frame with 2 barrel spacers back there. And then what they did was they overlaid some very coarse G10 for grip. And this thing feels extremely light. It is skeletonized. It is thin. And it feels light. Now, you ask, because people have asked me this, but how does it feel since that's thin? You do kind of feel the flatness of those pieces because these are flat scales, and you do feel that in your grip if you're bearing down. But the bigger concern for me on this guy is the fact that they're telling me where my fingers go. And what I mean by that is they're saying, okay, 2 fingers go here, and then you have a hump, and then 2 fingers go here. Well, what does that do for somebody with bigger hands is I can't fit my 2 fingers between that flipper tab and that hump. I can't even show it to you because I just eclipsed that point. So now what you have here is this point right here, that no matter how I grip, so if I put 3 fingers back here and 1 up here, I'm actually okay, but now I'm too far back. If I put 2 here, that does not feel good. It is just pinching my fingers. So that's my big concern. Now, if I relax my hand back like this, I'm okay, except now that's right there, but I'm just relaxing my hand around it. And so in that case, it's not jabbing me, but I also don't have as good of a grip on the knife. Now, you have jimping here, which is my preferred grip. Now, you can come up here, but now you would really have to choke up and just somehow stay off of that. So really, to me, this is not useful. This is the grip for me. There is no lanyard hole. The clip is reversible, and it is a deep carry clip, but there's a tiny bit sticking out. Love that it's reversible. I'm fine at this price point that it does not have a filler tab. And guys, just look at this thing, either closed or open. It is wild looking. Now you have a dead center blade, and you can see when we're locked up, there's no blade plate or lock rock on this one. There is no button stick. So again, Civivi nails these. It is on bearings, and you can see it almost just pulls the blade right back in. This is one of the best fidget knives I've seen ever. It blew me away right out of the box how easy this was with those bearings. It is phenomenal. And as far as cutting performance, what did I do with my cardboard? There it is. Here's my giant chunk of cardboard again. We'll just do a nice long cut here. And you can see, if I can actually hold the cardboard, there we go. You can see this guy with that thin hollow grind. Look at this. I mean, it is fantastic. That was me getting into the sharpening choil, but really, really cool indeed. And now we have a giant pile of cardboard everywhere. But just a fantastic knife to say the least. So let's do the specs on this one, and then we'll do our comparisons. Now, there are a bunch of different versions of this one. I will leave a link below. This particular one is in Nitro V, and it is $79.90. There are other versions just with different color G10. They're all around that $79. The highest one has Damascus. It's like $99. But I will leave the link down below to all the options of this one so you can check it out. So it is 8.15 inches overall with a Nitro V clip point blade. It is 3.48 inches on the blade with a 4.67 inch handle. But don't forget, guys, it is actually less than that, simply because you've got that flipper tab there. So they always tell you how much handle it is. They say 4.67, and that's if you're measuring like this. To me, this is the handle, okay? So it is just like, I would call it 3 and 15. I would call it 3 3/4, really. And useful handle, because this is coming up, so it's not a very big handle at all. 0.47 on the thickness, which is absolutely fine, and 2.61 ounces. Again, extremely light for this size of knife. All right, so here is the comparison between the Biophase and the Cetos. Here is your Ontario Rat 1, which is going to be a little bit bigger than both, but not much bigger, really. And the Rat 2 is smaller than both. So there's your comparisons. There's your look at these two knives. I'm really glad I got to check them out. Some really good things about both and a couple of nitpicks about both. So let me know what you think down below on this one, guys. And thanks to Civivi for sending these to the Lefty Pass Around group so we could all check them out. And let me know. Leave me a comment. Definitely make sure you're subscribed and that you've hit that notification bell to all. And thanks for watching the Knives Fast channel.